November 2007. Now, let's take a look at the situation in Iraq, because the latest version of the spending bill would have tough time in the Senate and the White House that says it will affect our troops. Spencer Boyer from our Washington studio to talk about the Center for American Policy's position. You feel strongly, I understand, that we should get out and get out as quickly as possible in terms of long-term security. Where's the connection there?
Well, I think that what we're saying is that the current policy in Iraq is not working. President Bush's surge, while it has decreased the violence in the short run in Iraq in some specific areas, it hasn't done what it set out to do, which was to provide the al-Maliki government with the political space, the breathing room necessary to make the painful political compromises necessary for long-term reconciliation in the country, which is necessary to end the violence there. So what we're saying is that the current policy is not working and we need a change of course.
How radically, how quickly, and what about the consequences of rapid changes? So some perceive as being precipitous changes.
Well, certainly we would recommend a withdrawal of troops in an orderly way over the next year or so. But obviously there are always consequences when you take any course of action. But I think what we're seeing now is that the present course is leading us in a dangerous direction. Again, our policy there is not making the Iraqi government any more motivated to make compromises necessary to bring about reconciliation in that country. We're not doing anything with regards to the thousands and thousands of Iraqis who have been displaced. In fact, there are estimates that since the surge began, we've had a doubling of the number of refugees in Iraq, totaling almost 5 million displaced persons, both inside and outside Iraq. And we've become a cause célèbre for terrorist groups, according to our own national intelligence estimate. And right now we're seeing our military has been really decimated in terms of readiness standards. We're stretched thin. We're not able to give the proper support to our efforts in Iraq. We're having to decrease our standards for entry into the military. So I think all in all, our present course of action is not working, and we need a change of course.
Well, there are those who say that the surge is in fact working, that the number of casualties, American casualties and Iraqi casualties, has dropped rather substantially.
Well, again, as I mentioned, certainly there has been a short-term decrease in the number of Iraqi deaths and American deaths. But let's look at where we are compared to last year. We've had more American casualties this year than in 2006. And many believe that the decrease in violence has been caused largely through massive sectarian cleansing in Iraq, as well as through the displacement of Iraqi people. So, I don't think that our current course of action is doing anything to really deal with the long-term situation in Iraq, to deal with coming up with a national reconciliation plan for the country, and our presence there is only continuing the current course in Iraq, is not at all giving the Iraqi government the motivation it needs to deal with the political situation there.
These that occur, though, these votes in terms of fund, Democrats have found them to be dangerous in the past from a political standpoint. But I wonder how realistic do you expect the likelihood is that these actually would work their way into some sort of actual implementation as opposed to political statements?
Well, it's hard to say. It's always hard to change a president's war strategy if he doesn't want to change it. But I think the Congress is certainly doing the right thing in terms of trying to change the president's plan in Iraq. The Congress is only reflecting the will of the American people, according to the latest polls, the New York Times poll in particular. Majority of Americans do want to see the U.S. withdraw the majority of our forces by 2009. And Congress, being a co-equal branch of government, has every right to try to to push for significant changes in our Iraq policy. Whether or not they're successful, it's hard to say. And certainly this current measure that passed the House yesterday, it has a tough road ahead, and President Bush has vowed to veto it.
Okay.
But I think that they're right to try.
All right, Mr. Boyer, we have to leave it there. We appreciate your time and your thoughts, sir. Thanks very much. Spencer Boyer from the Center for American Progress. We'll pause and be back with more for you.